Good morning. I wanted to make a video to help you understand how to use the work sample system. And I'm going to run through this real quick with just a couple of students so you can see what needs to happen. So the first step is to make a copy of this spreadsheet. And once you make that copy, I suggest you change this to change the name of this. I'm going to call this test 3 for my example. And so I have rename it. And then the very first step is to run and create a work sample folder in your drive. So the first time you run any of these scripts, you have to authorize, and that's going to be true on all of the individual student sheets as well. So just one time you have to authorize. I'm going to do that. These are the screens you're going to see. I need to select that, my name. It needs access to do all of these things. We click allow. Now notice that goes away and nothing happens. So we run that again now that we've authorized. And it's finished the script. Now let's see what it did. It's actually back over here in my drive. It's created a 2023 Sylvie's work sample system. And in that system, it's moved the test 3 Sylvie's work sample setup template. So now we're ready to get started with step 2. I have to put in a student name. Let me just call this Tom Wills. Parent name is Janine. Something. I'm not going to put in the email yet. And the grade level here, let's just choose this as a 5th grader. Now, one of the things on this sheet that you can see, we've hidden some stuff that happens under here. When I put in grade 5, some things automatically popped up that we need to use. So you can look at this if you want. At some point it is handy. It creates some things that you want to see. So now that I've got that, the emails, let me go ahead and put an email in here. I'll just put in twelch@redtailfan.org just so we can actually send an email off. Okay, I'm ready to run. So the next step is create the student folders from the roster. Well, I only have one. Let's go ahead and do that. And because I only have one, this runs very quickly. If you have 20, it might take longer, of course. So let's see what that did. And when I refresh my drive folder, I can see Tom Wills now has a folder in the 2023 work sample folder. Great. Now the next step, step 2, copy the form and document to student folders. Use as needed. Use as needed means that as you add more students to your roster, it's going to skip the ones that have already been set up, and it's going to just do this step for those that are added. This takes a little bit longer. This step I've seen, I did 20 students and it took about 3 minutes. Now what's happened here is, again, if I come in here and open up the Tom Wills, 2 different files have been moved into there. One is the work sample form that the parents are going to use, and one is the form response sheet. Now, this next step you have to do for every single student. Once you've run this roster here, you're going to have a folder for every student, and in that folder you're going to have these files. And the first step for each student is going to be to open the form. And the reason you need to do that, notice this is the 5th grade form, it needs to restore the file upload folders. This takes a few seconds, and you'll notice a little pop-up down here. And okay, the folders are restored successfully. So if I want to see that, I can come back to this drive folder and I can refresh it, and I will see the 5th grade progress form files, and all of those upload folders are there. Okay, so the next step then, next step here is to open up the 2 ways to do it. Open up this response sheet and follow its instructions, or if you were just wanting to work from the sheet, this is where you could open up this And what you want to open up now is the new setup doc URL. So I can just open that document up. And really all it is right now is a simple sheet, looks like this. This is an extremely important ID that it uses to do the next step. Just to come back and show you this, is the form response setup sheet instructions are here, and it talks about how to run through them. So let's go ahead and get started. You would do this for each student. Again, this is a different spreadsheet, so when I run a script, it has to be authorized one time when you first run it. So we do that, and we give it permission, and it goes away. And then the next step is to create the form response sheet. Now what it's doing here is creating the form response sheet for that form that is tied to Tom Wills. The next step is to clean up the sheets. And what that's doing is getting rid of sheet 1. We don't need it. And it's running some formatting to make this look the way we want. And it's getting rid of empty rows and columns. So now my data is set up. And then the final step here is to create the subject sheets. And what this is doing is creating a subject sheet, putting in the query formula on every one of these subject sheets, so that you can pull the data from the data tab to each one of these tabs. Makes it easier to read. And then you'll see what we've done here is we have put another formula here so that we can split on the commas if the parent uploads multiple files. Then you'll have an actual live link to the uploaded files in each one of those locations. So that'd be for reading, writing, language, math, social studies, science, health, and so forth. And then to simplify this last part, I've added this uploaded file sheet, and this will show you the uploads by month, by subject, and all of the uploaded files all on one sheet, which would hopefully make that a little bit easier to run. And we don't have any data in here, but if we did, you would see how that would work. Then one of the other things I added in here is this standards menu. So if I click the standards menu, this is going to open up a sidebar, and it's going to allow you to bring in all the different standards by grade level. And this takes a second to open the sidebar. What happens when you open this sidebar is, let's say I've got the grade 8, this isn't finished out yet with the different grade levels, but if I wanted to put in this standard, because that's what the teacher, that's what the parent said the files represented, you can put in one standard, and you could change that standard just by clicking on that. That's how the standards menu works, and I think that is it. I would come back to my work sample sheet here if I needed to add more students, different grade levels. And again, the way this sheet works, you can open up the form and the document from here. The reason the view form URL is here is to email a parent. Well, let's go ahead and do that. Let's see what it looks like to email a parent. I'm going to email the parent. Now, the way the email works, if I want to create my own subject line and my own email message, I would type the subject line here, the email message here. If I leave those blank and send email, it's done. That email is sent, and that would be sent to any student that's in here, and it was sent on August 1st. Now, if I wanted to read that email, as you can see, 12-chair red tail fan received an email, and this is what the email looks like. It says, Dear Janine, it says Tom Wills Work Samples Form. Dear Janine, here is the form URL for Tom Willis. And if I clicked that, it would open up. Now, I am reading this in 12-chair red tail fan, and I'm not going to be able to read that because I'm not inside of Sylvie's. We'll have to address that issue. And that, again, shows, so if I wanted to send this parent that reminder, I would simply remove the date. If I ran this again, if I email parents again, it's going to just quit because it's going to look here and go, oh, there's a date and they've already done that. If you want to resend a message, you just remove the date. So I believe all those directions are in here. And I hope this is helpful to have the video to sort of follow through with these directions.